Oh, we've got to approve again.
Yes, you've got to approve. It's all about GDPR, in case I was like taking these images and selling them online.
As
Can you
if.
imagine? Can you even imagine? So please do find a comfortable seated position, and just as you get yourself into that position, just kind of feel the weight of your body release. I want you to feel really present in your body in this moment. And if you can, invite any thoughts that might be crowding your mind to float away as you bring your focus to the breath. It doesn't matter if your eyes are open or closed, whatever is more comfortable for you. The key is bringing yourself into this place of quiet and calm, and just allowing yourself to be guided by the sound of my voice. Now, for some of us, there's been a little bit of a gap in our practice. So we've done a couple of weeks where we've kind of gone quite steady, going back through the basics. I'd like to take a moment this week to remind you about the importance of the breath. So yoga means being in harmony with the breath, knowing the power of the breath, that every inhalation serves to nourish and energize, every exhalation a chance to release any tension, to let go. What tends to happen is if we're concentrating on form, we tend to hold the breath, and that tends to block the energy. So if you think about the breath as a constant flow, and you'll notice that I often exaggerate the breath, particularly when I feel a little stuck in a part of my body. So I can move past that blockage and make space for the next incoming breath. Feel the breath from the tip of the nose along the nasal passages. Be mindful of the breath over the back of the throat. And just notice for you where the breath naturally rises. It's not uncommon to breathe to the top third of the lungs. Through our practice this evening, our intention is to deepen that breath, to work more efficiently through the lungs, to expand and widen into the rib cage. And a great expression that I love, to take up space. Take up space in the room. With every out breath, feel the weight of your bones connect a little more securely into the earth beneath you. Almost as though you're putting down roots here. And establish an intention for your practice this evening. It may be that you've had a long week and it's only Wednesday. It might be that today has been particularly challenging. Or perhaps you need a little bit of motivation. So consider what you need from your practice tonight and set that intention now. Think of that intention as a positive action in the present tense. I feel energized and ready to face the rest of the week. I am strong. I am enough. I can do this. So maintaining your awareness of the breath. Start to allow your breath to come back to a more natural, easy rhythm. And if you've chosen at this point to close your eyes, take a moment to blink the eyes open. Let the light in. If you've been sitting cross-legged, just take an adjustment for a moment. So switch the opposite foot in front or behind, just so that you don't get all bunged up on one side. Beautiful. Let's rest the back of the hands to the insides of the thighs. And a bit like we practiced when we were doing the standing postures, visualize that you're leaning back into the space, lining up the back of the head with the back of the tailbone. We're going to check in again with the position of the chin. So avoid having the chin leading forward. You want to keep that chin nicely drawn back in. Adjusting the shoulders so that they release away from the ears. Let's draw the shoulders up towards the ears in a big exaggerated shrug. Then as you exhale, just let them go. Draw the shoulders up again. A little more control, let them go. Roll the shoulders back and down. Try to take the right ear down towards the right shoulder, avoiding the temptation to lift the shoulder towards the ear. So just allow that gentle stretch through the side of the neck here. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, engage the core, draw the head back to center. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, let's take the head over to the opposite side. Notice the difference. It won't be the same on both sides. One side might feel a little more tense than the other. Draw yourself back again to center. Another inhale to lift the shoulders up towards the ears. And exhale for that big shrug again. Lovely. Let's lean back into that space once more. Placing the left hand onto the heart, the right hand onto the belly. Again, aware of the breath. Noticing inhaling to the chest, feel that hand rise into the belly, feel that hand rise. Then as you exhale, soften the chest, soften the belly last. Inhaling to the belly, the chest, the collarbones. Exhaling from the collarbones, the chest and the belly last. Inhaling, widening into that big balloon sensation again. Then exhaling, release, letting go. Let's take the hands away from the heart and the belly and take the arms wide. Now it might be that you're set on gallery view. For me, I can see all of you. And I liked when I'm doing this to visualize that I'm giving you all the big hug. So we're sending this hug around the room and each of us are receiving that positive energy from each other. Just take a moment to wiggle the fingers. Let's rotate the wrists, just drawing gentle little circles here. Nothing fancy. Keeping those elbows soft, the shoulders away from the ears. Then bring the palms together in front of the heart. Finding that alignment again from the back of the head to the tailbone. Inhaling to lift the arms overhead. Parking the ears between the upper arms. And always respecting your personal range of movement. If you need to have your elbows a little more drawn down, if you need to have your arms a little lower, do what feels right for you. Keep those shoulders released. Inhaling, extend and lengthen through the fingertips. Then as you exhale, let's bring the individual fingers to come into like a basket shape. Turn the hands inside out. Then exhale to bring the hands back again towards heart center. Inhale, turn the palms in towards the heart. Exhale, draw the tummy button in, roll through the spine, nodding the chin towards the chest, curving through the spine in a seated cat stretch. As you inhale, lift through the sternum. Again, we'll turn the hands inside out, continuing on that inhalation, lifting the arms overhead, pressing the palms towards the ceiling, keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. Maintaining that equal weight through the sit bones as you exhale to release to the right. Try to find that lift and length from the waist through the side of the rib cage. Inhale to lift back to center. As you exhale, take that extension over to the opposite side. Find a comfortable position for the head. Then inhale, lift, come back to center. On the exhalation, bring the hands back again in front of the heart space, turning the palms once more in towards the body. Then as you release that interlock, bring the interlock behind the lower back. So I'm going to focus on starting with right forefinger over left so that I make sure that we're evenly working both sides. So you'll notice in this position, there's a tendency to lean forward. There's also a tendency to bring the shoulders forward. So let's start again by lifting the shoulders back and down, realigning the back of the head with the tailbone, engaging the core, tucking the chin in. On the exhalation, draw the hands away from the lower back, opening through the chest. A nice brisk stretch over the top of the sternum into the collarbones. Then as you exhale, release, bring the hands back again into the lower back. Let's switch now to put the left forefinger on top of right. So we've still got that interlock behind the lower back. You might need to again readjust the shoulders, realign the spine, re-engage the core. The inhalation, you're lifting and lengthening out of the sit bones. The exhalation, you're drawing the hands away from the lower back. And again, keep in check on that chin. Then as you exhale, release. Bring the hands back again into the lower back. Separate the hands. Let's bring the hands to rest onto the knees so we can let the weight of the arms relax. And we're going to repeat that seated cat stretch, exhaling to draw the tummy button in, rolling through the spine, just nodding the chin onto the chest. Then inhaling, finding again that nice neutral lengthened spine as you sit in center. So one more time, we're going to switch over our cross leg position. So opposite foot comes in front or behind. And we're going to reposition the hands now either side of the hips. Extend the right hand away from that side hip. So when we do this action, it's important to remember that we want to remain upright, that we're trying not to lean onto that side, keeping a little bit of softness in the elbow, but not so much that you're leaning onto the floor. Lift that left arm up overhead. Then as you exhale, let that right elbow sneak in towards the waistline, lengthen, and you shouldn't feel as though that sit bone has come off the floor. So that left sit bone is still connected to the mat as you're extending and lengthening through that top arm. Then inhale to lift and come back to center. Perfect. Let's take the arm over to the opposite side. So again, nice length, gently pressing into that palm, easing over into the upper body. If you notice that you are leaning forward, perhaps try rotating the side of the rib cage up towards the ceiling. And for some of you, it might feel more comfortable to look up towards the palm. It just depends on the comfort level for the neck. Then inhale, lift, come back to center. Let's have the right hand behind the right hip, left hand to right knee. Inhale again to lift and lengthen. Exhale to follow the right side of the rib cage, bringing your gaze towards the back of the room. On the next out breath, lots of space to bring the shoulders back to center. And we're simply going to switch opposite hand to opposite knee. That brings the left hand behind the hip, inhaling to lift up and lengthen, exhaling to squeeze into that twist. on this side. Again, breath out. You just meander your way back to face forward. Reposition both hands in front of the ankles. So in this instance, it's okay to be leaning forward, but we want to avoid too much curvature in the spine. So lift and lengthen again, lead with the sternum rather than the chin, and start to bring the chest towards the floor. I think it helps to walk your hands one at a time, to slowly ease the elbows towards the floor. Because this is a forward motion, both sit bones will remain equally weighted. And you can see all the young ones disappear off the screen in this one. Just laughing at Elizabeth, gone. Then push into the palms, engage the core. Inhale to walk the hands back towards the ankles. Reposition both hands behind the lower back. So I know that this one won't work for everyone. Not everyone is confident to take weight onto their wrists. I'm going to sit side on so that you can see the action. The choices are position 1, positioning the palms onto the mat, trying not to be up on the fingertips because that won't help your knuckles. So keep everything nice and relaxed. Drawing the shoulder blades together and opening the sternum as you look up towards the ceiling. If you feel that you have the confidence to take the weight of your body onto the hands, the action is to gently press the shins forward, lift the bottom from the floor, and keep that opening through the chest. So widening through the chest. Beautiful. Then as you exhale, release. Bring your sit bones back again towards the floor. Lift and lengthen back into that centered position. And to give the ankles a little bit of a break, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together, but rather than sitting in a very tight Baddha Konasana, just slide the feet forward so that we've got a little bit more of a comfortable diamond shape going on with the knees. Lift up and lengthen out of the sit bones. Slide the hands down through the front of the shins, easing towards the ankles. Then as you exhale, just bring that upper body weight a little closer towards the inner thighs. So the closer you have the heels in towards the groin, the more you'll feel this in the hips. If you've extended your legs as I have, you'll probably feel this more into the hamstrings, into the lower back. It's quite a gentle release. Inhale to widen through the chest. Exhale to engage the core. And this time we'll just walk the hands back up the length of the leg. We're just supporting the lower back here. I'd like us to take both feet wide now. So we talked a little bit about this last week, about turning the toes up towards the ceiling. This ensures that we're engaging the inner thigh muscles. If you allow those ankles to go floppy, it can mean that the tendons around the knees aren't as supported, and it also means that you're more inclined to be pulling into the hamstrings. So let's keep everything switched on and engaged. Again, use the out breath to start to ease yourself forward. Inhaling to lengthen, exhaling to just find that little bit more space. So again, I'm easing the elbows towards the floor, there's no rush. Inhaling to lengthen. Checking in that those toes are still pointing up, that we're still engaged through the back of the leg. On the inhale, press into the palms, lift the chest. On the exhale, engage the core. Walk the hands back again towards center. Let's bring the soles of the feet together once more. We're drawing the heels closer now, so we're getting back into that inner thigh territory. So this sometimes is called butterfly pose. So imagine that you are operating your knees a bit like butterfly wings. So widening the knees, drawing the knees a little closer. And of course, butterflies don't go at pace. They nice and gently release the wings, warming the wings to the sun and preparing to take off in flight. Let's find a center point where we can allow the legs to just relax open without pushing. Find again that nice line from the back of the head to the tailbone. Keep hold of the right foot. Push through that heel we'll just find a little bit of extension here through the back of the hamstring. If you're feeling it in the inner thigh, chances are your leg is rotating too much externally. So let's find the space here at the back of the hamstring. Obviously the arm isn't long enough to reach the base of the leg. Then bring that foot back in. Make sure you recenter, realign. Then as you exhale, push to the opposite side. And again, I'm kind of looking at the hamstring area. And remember, we mentioned this last week, if any of you have a strap or even sometimes an extra sock to hand, just makes up that little bit of difference if you find that you're having to stretch to find the foot. Bring that foot back to center, engage the core. On the exhalation, lift both feet and just keep the faith, really. The worst that can happen is that you roll back. Thank you for demonstrating that so beautifully. And the lovely thing about rolling back is it's just like being a child again. Fantastic. Then as you exhale, engage the core, protecting the lower back. Bring the soles of the feet together. Butterfly, warming the wings in the sun again, so widening the knees. Tiny little pulse here. Then remove the hands from the feet and extend both legs forward. Again, I'm going to sit side on because I think it demonstrates better. So when we sit in this Dandasana position, what we want to find is the back of the legs are almost like touching the floor. We'll have a tiny little bit of lift under the knees, but what we want to avoid again is this too much leaning forward. So realign the back of the head into the back of the tailbone, toes switched on, extend both arms forward. Now, if like me, you're very tight in the hamstrings, you're probably getting quite a lot of feedback at this point. So let's just kind of work with that, work with the breath. This is one of the points where you might be tempted to hold the breath. Keep pressing through the heels, inhaling to lift and lengthen out the sit bones. Engage the core. On the next out breath, almost like you're a ragdoll bending from the hips, gently extend the fingertips forward. This is a hinge rather than a roll, so the back shouldn't curve. We should be coming forward in increments as a diagonal. Beautiful. Now at this point, the lower back is quite exposed, so no sudden movements. Bring the hands onto the calves, engage the core on an inhale, lifting through the sternum. On an exhale, walk the hands back up through the thighs. Beautiful. So I'm going to bring you onto all fours now. I don't think we've done that the last couple of weeks. So we'll come into an all fours position. Knees under hips, wrists under shoulders, which sounds very obvious, but if your hands are too far forward, we start to put a lot of pressure on the tendons down the side of the elbow into the shoulder. So if you stack yourself, you've got a better chance of supporting the full weight of your body. I'm going to turn both toes under, exhaling to draw the tummy button up towards the spine. We're following that exhalation to roll the spine up, nodding the chin to the chest. Then as you release, allow yourself to rest onto the tops of the feet. Follow the sternum forward as you inhale to lift the chest forward. So that's really slow motion. Exhale, roll up, nodding the chin to the chest. Inhale, lift the sternum forward, draw those shoulder blades together, lift your gaze. Exhale, roll up. Then inhale, lift the sternum forward. Beautiful. Come back into a neutral spine position. So I use that term neutral spine a lot. What I'm going to say is neutral spine is whatever is comfortable for you. So if you are particularly curvy in the lower back and that is your neutral spine, then that is your neutral spine. Never force anything. For most of us, finding neutral is just kind of having that vague awareness that the core is engaged. So you're drawing the tummy button up. You're not just letting it all hang loose. Walk both hands forward. Keep pressing into the palms of the hands. Then as you exhale, press the sit bones towards the heels. In time, what happens is the ears lower down between the upper arms. And this creates a nice long stretch over the shoulders, over the upper back. You might feel it through the arms. Try to be relaxed as you push the sit bones towards the heels. Then lower the elbows down towards the floor. Inhale to slide the chest forward, slide the thighs back. And we'll come into a nice low Sphinx position. So Sphinx works with the elbows either side of the chest. The palms are positioned almost mat width wide. Palms down rather than any tension in the hands. Some of you might prefer to just gently press through the thighs as you inhale to lift the chest and lift the gaze. So again, a very gentle stretch intended to work from the lower spine up through to the upper thoracic spine. On the inhalation, visualize widening through the chest, drawing those shoulder blades together. Then as you exhale, release. Bring the chest, bring the forehead towards the floor. So you probably don't need to look up for this, just trust my words. We're going to start by bending the right heel in towards the bottom. So you're bending the right knee, you're bringing the right hand to take hold of that right ankle. This might create a little bit of a gap under the hip. Resist the temptation of lifting the bottom up. So let's try for a little pressing of the thigh into the floor. Push into the opposite arm. Inhale to lift the chest. Give me a nice yo if you're getting that stretch in the front of the thigh. Ooh. Then on the out breath, release the hand from the foot. Bring that right arm forward. Bring the left heel in. Take hold of that ankle. Push the opposite hand into the floor. Inhale to lift the chest and lengthen. I'm just sitting up so that I can see your form. Nice, yeah. Think about tilting the hips towards the floor. I can see a little bit of curvature in the back. That's better. Oh, I know. It makes a bigger stretch, I'm sorry. Then release again that foot towards the floor. Let's bring both hands either side of the chest now. So that effectively brings the elbows off the floor. Draw the elbows in. Let's tuck them in neatly either side of the rib cage. I like to almost feel the elbows either side of the waist. Push into the palms. Realign by pressing the thighs into the floor. Inhale to lift the chest. So for some of you, this might be quite an excessive back stretch. If you need to come back down onto your elbows, that's absolutely fine. Try to keep the hips down. You'll get a far better stretch. Ooh, that's tricky. Then as you exhale, release. Come back again, forehead towards the floor. If you're comfortable to do so, the best form here is to rest the forearm head on the floor and let the nose rest on the floor. Some of you might need to turn your head to the side, but it's better for alignment if you can keep your head down. Extend both arms forward along the floor. I obviously can't speak while I'm doing this, so I'm sitting up and watching you. Lovely. So kind of just let the body rest in this position. I always find that when I take my arms forward, there's a moment where I have to take my arms a little bit wider just to allow space through the shoulders. And you might kind of be aware that you're tensing the buttocks because you're kind of thinking what happens next. Just let everything become soft, relax into the floor. Once more, become aware of the breath. And I think it helps to visualize the breath traveling from the fingertips all the way down and exiting out through the soles of the feet. So keep that picture in your mind, that constant flow of the breath. On the next inhalation, simply lift the right arm from the floor. So the whole of the arm from the shoulder joint to the palm, and just lift that arm from the floor. Beautiful. Let's allow that arm to release onto the floor again. You might have noticed that you rolled to one side. So when we come to inhale and lift the left arm, on the exhalation, engage the core. Try and find a little bit of balance in center. So avoid that rolling over to the opposite side. Replace that arm to the floor. Inhale, prepare to lift both arms. As you exhale, engage the core, lift the arms. Beautiful. Palms down or thumbs up, whatever's comfortable for you. Feel that kind of strength building through the back of the shoulders. Then as you exhale, engage, release the hands to the floor. Beautiful. So we're just going to relax through the shoulders now. We're going to focus on the lower back. And we're going to do that by engaging the legs. So we're keeping in that supine position. Inhaling now to lift the right leg from the floor. So it's cheating if you bend the knee. So we're lifting everything from the hip all the way down through the front of the leg into the ankle. Lovely. Then release that leg to the floor. Where are you holding your breath? It's a very common place to hold the breath. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, lift the left leg. So we're just practicing that idea of lifting the weight of that leg off the floor. I can see a couple of you have rolled onto the opposite hip. So again, just use your awareness to realign through the hips and replace that leg to the floor. Beautiful. Without missing a beat, let's go to lift right leg, left arm. So opposites. Beautiful. Again, keep the breath steady, no holding of the breath. On an out breath, that signals a release and let it go. Inhale to prepare, exhale, engage the core. Inhale, opposite hand, opposite leg. Beautiful. It's harder than it looks, this one. Then on the out breath, release hand and leg to the floor. Just take a full breath rotation here. So really deep breath in through the nose. Visualize that breath traveling all the way down through the soles of the feet as you exhale. On the next inhalation, let's lift both arms, both legs. We're hovering the arms and the legs a couple of inches from the floor. You can feel that connection through the belly. The last thing you want to do is hold the breath. And exhale signals a release, so let it go. Beautiful. Just take a recovery breath here in this supine position. Then on your next inhalation, lift both hands, both legs. Lift the chest. That will in turn lift the head. And finally, no more breathing mat fumes. You're skydiving. Hurrah! And as you exhale, release. Let everything relax to the floor. Now, just to give our poor noses a little bit of a break, let's bring the palms stacked one on top of the other, allowing the forehead to rest here. So it just gives you a little bit of space. And I just want you to become very aware of the position that you're lying in. There's no judgment here, there's no right or wrong. Just notice if your ankles are rolling out, if your feet are turned in. Notice if you're holding any tension in the lower back or in the buttocks. And mindfully signal to the body, this is a nice, comfortable, released position. Now on the next inhalation, reposition those hands either side of the chest. So lifting the head slightly to give you that space. Push once more into the thighs. Inhale to lift the chest. Remember, when we're in this lifted position, we want to try to keep the hips stuck to the floor if we can. Then push once more into the palms. As you exhale, release back, coming into a nice lengthened child's pose position. Pressing the sit bones towards the heels, lowering the ears down between the upper arms. My favourite space to release here is the lower back. Yours might be the space between the shoulder blades, so take it where you need it. On the next inhalation, imagine that you're pressing the wrists into the mat as you lift the fingertips. It just changes the emphasis of the stretch. Then replace the palms to the floor. Engage the core. Lift back up into that all fours position again. Resetting, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. We'll repeat that little cat-cow sequence, so turning the toes under, exhaling, rolling up into the cat stretch, nodding the chin to the chest. Inhaling, reversing that curve, lifting the chest forward. One more time into your cat stretch, rolling up. Into your cow pose, releasing, opening the chest forward. Return once more to that neutral spine position. Then extend the right leg back, turn the toe under, push the heel towards the floor. So for those of us who are tight in the calf, for those of us who hold a lot of tension behind the kneecap, which is quite common, let's gently keep pushing that heel towards the floor just to open out that space. It's kind of like a pleasant pain, this one. Then bring that knee back underneath the hip. Extend the opposite foot back, turn the toe under. Oh blimey, I'm much tighter on this side than I was on the other. It's funny that, isn't it? If you really tune in, you really notice the differences. So I'm going to keep that foot back, that left foot back with the toe turned under. I'm very aware of my weight onto the wrists. I want to keep my elbows nice and soft, no locking out. As we step the right foot back and we come into a plank position. So if it's been a while and plank is a little bit of a challenge, you can take a little bit of strain off by lowering one knee to the floor. Sometimes it helps to transition from one knee to the other. So you kind of feel as though you're still doing the work, you're just taking a tiny little minuscule break. Then on the out breath, lower the knees to the floor. Think about bringing those elbows back towards the rib cage, towards the waist, as you bring your chest and your nose to the floor. Bottom remains up, remember. Then inhale, lift the chest, press the thighs to the mat, lift and lengthen. Beautiful. Then exhale, back into your child's pose. Take a lovely long stretch here. On the inhale, lift yourself back into an all fours position. We're going to now walk the knees a little further forward, just so that we can sit back towards the heels. Now I say that as if that's really easy and accessible. For most people it's not. So let's just check in where this might feel challenging. If there's tension underneath the ankles, rolling up a towel is really useful to just take that little bit of tension away. If your knees are exceptionally tight, that idea of getting the bottom onto the heels will be very challenging. So you can always just stick a cushion. Again, a folded up blanket will do the job. That might make you feel a little bit more human in this posture. I quite like it, but that's just because I'm weird and hobbity. So inhale to lift the shoulders up towards the ears. As you exhale, release the shoulders down. Lovely. Inhale, draw the shoulders up. Exhale, release and let the shoulders go. Perfect. Push down now into the shins. Lift your body weight up. Perfect. So I'm going to turn side on again. You can stay where you are. Just again to kind of illustrate this point, shoulder, hip, knee, all stacked in alignment. So if you're kind of leaning forward on this, that suggests that you're quite tight in the hips. So press down into the shins, lift the sternum. Perhaps let's start with a little interlock behind the lower back. Let's do this in stages. So keep that chin drawn in rather than pushing forward so that we keep the neck nice and soft. Draw the hands away from the lower back. Inhale to lift the chest. Then take the weight of your hands down towards the ankles. There's no expectation to get all the way. I just want you to feel the confidence of the back designed to go both ways, not just forward. Again, it's like feeling like a child again. Then engage the core. Inhale, lift the chest. Bring yourself back to center. Lovely. Separate the hands. And if I bring my gaze forward again, we're going to keep this left leg in alignment as we take the right foot out. Beautiful. This is where it gets really creative when you're practicing at home, because you're like, where can I stick my foot? So in this position, the ideal posture is to make sure that that right foot is pressing forward, so it's parallel to the edge of your mat. We're just going to let that right hand rest behind the right thigh, so tuck it away. It draws the shoulder back, it opens out the side of the chest. Inhale to lift and lengthen through the left. There's no twist action here. We're lifting from the waist, exhaling to hinge over. So the only thing I don't like about this posture is I think if you've got a little bit of a muffin top, which I do, you can feel it. A little bit of pinching, shall we say. Nice stretch on the inner thigh. Then inhale, lift. Come back to center. Strike that right leg in. Take the left leg out. Same action, so we're parking that arm and that shoulder out of the way, lifting up and lengthening. Exhaling to ease over. Oh, this side doesn't like that. It's a lot harder on this side. Then inhale, lift, come back to center. Rather than striking the knee back under, let's bring the knee in front as if we're proposing to someone. Perfect. Bring the hands on top of that bent knee. Turn your back toe under, just helps. Push into the thigh and come up into a standing position. Oh, beautifully done. Aren't we good? Let's bring ourselves into a standing mountain pose. So heels directly underneath the hips, inside of the feet parallel, knees nice and soft. So you kind of always want to feel as though you're just about to do a downhill ski. Brilliant. Bring the palms to face forward towards the front of the room. Inhale, lift the shoulders up towards the ears. As you exhale, release, let the shoulders away. I'm going to reposition the hands onto the hips, something to hold onto. Keeping that alignment, back of the head through the back of the hips to the back of the heels. We don't lock the knees out, we do keep them soft, but we want length. So push into the soles of the feet, lift and lengthen. As you exhale, hinge, hinge, hinge. 90-degree angle is sufficient. With this 90-degree angle, again, we're getting into that territory of a gentle stretch through the hamstrings, pressing the sit bones towards the back of the room, lifting the tailbone. There's no locking of the knees, but you might feel that you can straighten the legs a little more. Let's extend the right arm forward. I like to feel the upper arm at the side of the right ear, keeping the back of the head tracking with the back of the tailbone, pressing through the fingertips. Bring that right hand back onto the hip, extend the left arm away. Beautiful. Let's keep the left arm forward, bring the right arm to meet it. A little bit more challenging. Again, avoid holding the breath. There's a lot of action happening here, so we need to get rid of tension, not hold it. Push through the fingertips, press through the sit bones, lift the tailbone, really lengthen and exaggerate that stretch. Then bring both hands onto the hips. Keep looking down towards the toes. At this stage, simply take a little bend in the knees. So it kind of looks as if you're mid-squat. It's not that attractive, I've got to say. It's a bit like when you use a public toilet and you hover. That's it now. You'll never be able to unsee that. Bring the hands to an Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. Keep pushing the sit bones back. Gently lift the sternum so that we're ever so slightly coming back into an upright position, but we're keeping the knees bent. We keep pushing into the soles of the feet. I always think it helps to have the feet as wide as the hips. So if this is starting to pinch on the knees, try widening the stance. Shoulders drawn back and down. Now extend both arms forward. Little bit more action there on the core. On the inhale, lift the arms up. So the insides of the arms again are tracking diagonal to the ears. Keep pushing through the fingertips, pressing the sit bones back. Watch the back of the neck, nice and relaxed. Bring the hands back in front of the heart. Inhale, push into the soles of the feet. Lift back to standing. I hope you still love me, even though that was quite challenging. Lovely. One last balance, and then I'll take you onto the floor. So mountain position once more. We'll start easy, and then we'll make it a little bit more challenging. Lift the right knee. Right knee should line up with the hip. It's difficult to talk and do. And the underside of the foot parallel to the floor. Point the toe. Flex the toe, draw little circles with that toe. Beautiful. Then without leaning forward, take hold of that ankle. And the key here is to make sure that the knees are drawn together. We'll have to do it on the other side because I can't demonstrate. So knees are together, not out here. Ever so slight tilt through the hips, so that lengthens the front of the thigh, gets into the hip flexor. Yes, and good moves here. Then release, let that foot come to the floor. We'll do the same on the opposite side. So we're starting by lifting, this time the left knee, bringing that foot parallel to the floor. The point, the flex, mobilizing the ankle, releasing any little clicks, drawing circles, both directions. And again, taking hold of the ankle, bringing the knees together. Hips should be square, shoulders should be square. If that knee is ever so slightly forward of the opposite thigh, try drawing the knee a little further back. Try lifting the hips. I always think a gentle pelvic tilt in this posture is very beneficial to open the thighs, get into the hip flexor. Beautiful. Then when you're ready, release, replace that foot to the floor. Let's just take the feet a little bit wider. Soften the knees again. Let the upper body become heavy. Beautiful. And then just gently take your weight from one side to the other. So we're just kind of swaying. Any energy that's built up here throughout today, we just kind of want to get rid of it. So swing your hips, swing your arms, let it go. Draw a little figure of 8 with the hips. Get sexy with it. Imagine that little pole dance routine that you've got bottled up inside of you, desperate to let it out. Okay, maybe not. So by now the feet be really quite wide. So we're taking it into this lovely wide stance, this nice low squat. Again, you're just transitioning from one leg to the other, but feeling that little bit of challenge on the thighs. Bring the body to rest in center. Lift the right heel. Lower that heel to the floor. Lift the left heel. Lower that heel to the floor. Bring the hands again to an Anjali Mudra. Push down into the soles of the feet. Inhale, lift up. Avoid that locking knee. Then on the out breath, engage the core. Draw the feet together. And just give all the limbs a little shake. Little shake into the lower back, into the shoulders, back of the head. Then if you feel ready to do so, we're going to lie down. So if you need to pull on socks or a blanket, if you wish to dim the lights, now is the time to do so. Oh, creaky old knees. That looks very cosy, Denise. A nice setup there. So because I've just brought you to the floor from standing, you might want to just take a few moments to maybe hug the knees to the chest, have a little rock and roll from one side to the other. Let's just honour that space in the lower back. Most of us hold it quite tight. So let's release here. And if your back has been bothering you, if you feel a little niggle there, rather than extending the legs, keep the knees bent. Let's take the weight off of the lower back. If you're happy to extend the legs, then position the weight of your legs hip width distance apart, allowing the ankles to roll out, the inner thighs to release, the top of the thighs to soften. And as I've mentioned a couple of times tonight, notice if you've clenched your buttocks, let them go. Let that space through the middle back start to spread and release into the floor. And rather than feeling the bony parts of the shoulder blades, create some comfort here by drawing the shoulder blades together, by allowing the chest to widen, the weight of the shoulders and the upper arms to soften. Consider how you're holding your hands. If you have your hands in fists, continue that little bit of tension. So try to release the fingers. Soften the backs of the hands, the palms. It might start to feel as though the whole weight of your body is melting into the floor. You might become aware of the weight at the back of your head. And as you lean into that gentle, almost sinking sensation, feel all the skin in your face soften, relaxing the eyebrows, softening the cheeks and the chin. Considering the position of your tongue, if the tongue is stuck to the roof of your mouth, now is the time to relax, to feel the weight of your tongue resting in the well of the mouth, unclenching the teeth. Allowing your whole body to become so soft, so released. Tuning in once more to the natural rhythm of your breath. that sense again of the power within the breath. The power of every inhalation to nourish and energize. Every exhalation to cleanse and release. Sending the breath to any part of the body that may be asking for a little extra attention here. Widening and expanding into the space that surrounds you. Taking space. Recalling that intention you set for yourself as we started our practice. I am enough. Noticing if your attention has wandered here. Accepting that's okay. Giving yourself permission to tether those thoughts, to bring yourself back to center, to your space within this room. Aware once more of exactly how you have arranged your body. Noticing your connection with the floor beneath you. Feeling the cool air in the room against your face, your hands, and your feet. Would you slowly start to return sensation here? Taking your time to wiggle or stretch the fingers and toes. Drawing little circles with the jaw. On an inhalation, taking a long stretch through the body. On an exhalation, hugging the knees towards the chest. And whenever you feel ready, rolling to one side, pausing there to blink the eyes open. Then we'll return once more to a comfortable, supported, seated position. Bringing your hands again to an Anjali Mudra. Touch to the head for kind thoughts, to the lips for kind words, and to the heart for kind intentions. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Beautiful. Have a lovely evening, everyone. And I will see, somebody asked me earlier, half term. Yeah, my kids are so old now that I don't observe any of that. So I'll just keep rocking up here every Wednesday until I'm not needed anymore. At some point, hopefully I may get a holiday, but who knows when that will be. So lots of love, everyone. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.
Happy birthday to Tilly.
Yes,
Oh,
happy
thank
birthday,
you.
Tilly.
Yes, bless her. Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.